I'm just going to move this back.
All right, playing from 10:26. Pause at 11:03. The TV went out. All right, playing at 11:03.
Who did that? Bravo! It's coming, it's slow!
Pause at 11:51. Detective, when you first reviewed this video, well, how many times have you reviewed this video, first of all?
I've reviewed it dozens.
And when you listen to the audio, how are you listening to it?
I'm listening to it with a pair of Bose noise canceling headphones.
And what do you hear being yelled during those last minute or so of that clip?
What she's yelling is, he did that, call the fire department, call the ambulance.
The subject that that person is sort of pointing at walks south on 30th and then turns onto Walnut, right?
Yes.
That's the video we watched yesterday?
Yes.
I'm going to show you exhibits 447 and 448. Are these two screenshots from that video?
Yes, they are.
I move those two exhibits in. It's 447 and 448 and ask to publish.
Any objection?
1 minute, I'm sorry, 1 minute. Can I see those again real quick? No, I don't have any objection.
They're received into evidence. You may publish.
All right, and these screenshots, I have exhibit 190 on the screen here. These screenshots were from the video that we watched yesterday from this building here that I'm circling with my finger, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I'm going to put them up on the Elmo here. It's 447. And that's 448. Looks like, tell us what he's wearing.
The subject is wearing dark clothing. The top is a hooded sweatshirt or jacket. The pants are dark pants. It appears that he has like a tan colored shoes with white sole on them and a camouflage or tan rucksack style backpack.
He's walking westbound on Walnut on the north sidewalk, right?
Yes, that is correct.
And in that direction, about one block would be the 31st and Galena playground, correct?
Correct.
After Miss Robinson had been reported missing and her car had been found burned behind in the 2900 block there, West Lisbon, were people, including law enforcement as well as family and friends, canvassing that area extensively to try to find any clues about what happened to her.
Yes.
And that was almost round the clock, right?
Yes, it was.
Were you part of that?
I was, yes.
Obviously, you've already talked about you going to these places and getting these videos, but you were also searching what areas around there? And I'll pull the map back up if it helps.
Am I able to move this back? There's a glare on
As
it.
long as all the jurors can see it, yes. Is that okay, Your Honor?
Is that better for you with the glare?
It is, yes.
Can all the jurors still see? Okay, that's fine. Please proceed.
Okay, you can answer the question. I just want to know what areas you were searching.
Sure. So my initial responsibility was to go and canvass the area for video surveillance. When we noticed the subject go southbound on 30th Street, we then go to the 1651 address on North 30th Street. We then see the subject walking westbound on West Walnut. We then canvassed to the west, and we are unable to locate additional video. So myself, other detectives, and some uniformed officers then conducted a canvass of the playground area. I had knowledge that there were train tracks that were located down in this area right here. We then walked down to the train tracks, canvassing for additional evidence, and that's when we received a call stating that
Objection, hearsay.
State,
I can just ask a follow-up question.
go ahead.
All right, so you're searching basically, actually, why don't you come down here, Detective? I'm going to have you use this pen or marker, if I have one.
Do you want a Sharpie?
I think I have one, Your Honor, thank you. Why don't you just trace on Exhibit 190 the route you're specifically talking about to help orient us as to where you were searching?
So this is the area that we started at with video surveillance. We then see the subject go down 30th Street and then westbound on West Walnut. We then searched this area right here.
Okay. You can have a seat, thank you.
I know.
Were you there searching on April 5th?
Yes, I was.
That would have been 3 days after Miss Robinson was reported missing?
Yes,
Were you with other detectives?
yes.
And what happened?
We were notified that human remains were discovered in the wooded area just east of the playground.
Who notified you of that?
Detective Cassie Linder.
Did you subsequently assume the responsibility of documenting the scene of where those remains were found?
Yes, I did.
And so this would have been, was it late in the day on April 5th?
It was, yes.
About what time, do you recall?
It was nighttime. I recall that the two pieces of human remains were collected at 1:14 and 1:16 a.m. So we were probably out there for a couple hours at that time.
So from the 5th into the 6th?
Yes.
Okay. So can you just give us an idea of how many people were canvassing that area and searching around that park and that playground, or excuse me, and those train tracks?
During the initial canvass that I was a part of, I would say approximately a dozen.
I'm going to show you Exhibit 191. Is that a map of the 31st and Galena playground?
Yes, it is.
And does it document where the remains that you were involved in recovering were found?
Yes, it does.
Move 191 in.
Any objection?
No.
It's received.
Ask to publish.
Go right ahead.
Detective, are you aware of whether or not in the subsequent days, after the night from the 5th into the 6th, in the subsequent days, were additional body parts found around that playground?
Yes, they were.
Does this map document where the remains you documented were found as well as those?
Yes.
Got on the screen exhibit 191, just a zoomed in map of the 31st and Galena playground. We've got 31st Street on the left side of the map, correct?
Yes.
All right, and on the north side is Walnut.
Yes, that's correct.
The video from 1630 West Walnut, originally when we watched it yesterday, we started at 6:50 a.m. when we saw Sade's car driving westbound, correct?
Yes, that was at 1651 North 30th Street.
Okay, can you tell us, just point out where that video was covering when we saw that car driving?
An approximate would be this area right here.
So kind of facing northwest?
Yes.
All right, so 6:50 a.m., her Civic is going westbound on Walnut past that building, and then it turns north on 30th Street, right?
That would be eastbound on West Walnut and then north on 30th Street.
Thank you for correcting me. So right next to this park.
Correct.
Then at 7:30, a few minutes after, is when we see the subject walking westbound on Walnut, that those screenshots were from, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, you can have a seat, thank you. I'm going to show you exhibits 109 through 145.
No objection to any of these exhibits.
Could I have the numbers one more time?
109 through 145.
Thank you. Then they're all received at this point.
All right, and may I have permission to publish?
You may.
Okay. These were all photos from the scene that you helped document, is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
And this was done in the nighttime?
Yes, it was dark when we photographed.
All right, we're going to go through these, Detective. And actually, before we do, can you identify for us on, you don't have to get up, just tell me which one of the body parts locations are we about to be talking about? There's 4 of them up there.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about the 2 that are located on the left side of the map right there. The foot location and then the flesh and bone location.
Okay.
More specifically, 2 pieces of flesh where we'll cover that now.
Exhibit 109. What are we looking at?
That is going to be a photograph of the playground area in the park.
Facing south?
That is facing south, yes.
And then 110, the cameraman just turned to the left a little bit, correct?
Yes,
And 111 turned to the right.
yes.
Okay, and that street right there would be what?
That would be North 31st Street.
Pretty dark area, correct?
It is, yes.
Okay, not a lot going on there?
No.
All right. To the north of this block, well, actually, I'll hold off on that. Next, exhibit 112, cameraman turned which direction?
That's going to be facing east towards North 30th Street.
Okay, so
It's on the other side.
behind those trees would be those train tracks?
Yes, that is correct.
And then on the other side, way on the other side, would be that North 30th Street video camera that we were talking about.
It is, yes.
And then the street that we're seeing on the left, that's Walnut?
Correct.
113. What's this?
That's a more of a zoomed in photo from the prior picture showing West Walnut, and there you can see the bridge that goes over the train tracks towards North 30th Street.
114, cameraman looks like he just moved over into the street, right?
Yes, that's eastbound on West Walnut.
The sidewalk right here where I'm pointing, is that the sidewalk we were watching that subject walk past?
Yes, it's the north sidewalk.
And then there's this kind of brick building on the left-hand side, right?
Yes,
115, little clearer view of that brick building.
yes.
What is that?
I don't even know. I believe it's like an abandoned old factory building.
So I guess what I'm getting at is, did you guys check for cameras from that building and that area?
Yes, we would have checked all buildings, all residences in that area.
Were you able to locate any video footage that showed the Galena playground, the 31st and Galena playground?
Not from that building, no.
Okay. 116. That same building is on the right side, correct?
Yes, that's going to be facing westbound on West Walnut.
117, we're back towards the playground.
Yes,
Okay, so the playground is going to be on the left side and we're looking south.
yes, that is correct.
118,
That is going to be a further camera angle south.
that apartment complex at the end of the street there, what street is that?
That would be Galena.
Any video cameras recovered from there?
I don't recall if there was any footage on Galena.
119. Orient us here.
This photograph is it's hard to say, but I believe that's going to be,
It might be a little bright. Just give me a minute. Okay. The bridge that's on the right side, is that Walnut?
yes, so that's going to be on the other side of the tracks facing northwest.
This kind of depicts that there's some elevation from the tracks to the playground. Was that how it looked?
Yes, it's hard to see in that photograph, but from both sides of the train tracks, it dips down, elevation-wise.
Maybe 120 will help. I have that on the screen now.
Yes, that's what I would be referring to, how the train tracks are the lower elevation.
121.
That is a photograph, you can see the playground on the left of the picture, and that's gonna be facing southeast direction, towards the lead.
122.
That's gonna be facing east.
And then 123, we just get close, is a closer up of that same thing we see in the middle of 122, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, and then right next to that or near that, 124 is what?
That's gonna be a pathway that leads down to the train tracks.
And into the wooded area, correct?
Yes, that is
125?
That's gonna be facing south.
All right. Then that pathway, I'm putting up 126, leads to where?
That pathway would be leading to the train tracks, and you can see there's a retaining wall that's pictured there.
Retaining wall that would separate the train track area from the playground, right?
Correct.
Okay. 127. Oh, and these yellow cones, those were items placed there by you or your department?
Yes, I placed the cones there. That depicts where pieces of evidence were located.
127.
That's a closer photograph of the evidence markers. You can see the retaining wall, the pathway down to the train tracks would veer to the left, close to the retaining wall and continue down.
128.
This this picture is gonna be facing towards Walnut. The train tracks are gonna be down to the right-hand side.
Let me put up 129 here. Is this the same tree?
Oh, that is, so I was mistaken. So
Okay.
that's gonna be facing south towards Galena, and that's the retaining wall right there,
On the left side.
on the left side.
And then we've got a mattress and some other items on the ground, right?
Yes, I don't recall exactly if that was a mattress or a box.
Okay.
Hard to tell.
Was there a significant amount of sort of trash in this playground?
Yes, there was a lot of trash and debris.
At the point that you were that these photos were taken and that you had been alerted to the location of a body part, you had really no information about what would be significant to recover, right?
That is correct.
So items with that amount of trash there, you didn't know what might relate to it or what might not relate to it, meaning the body part.
Correct.
Okay. Did you mark or notice, mark as evidence, certain items that you later came to conclude probably had nothing to do with this?
Yes.
Exhibit 130, that's just the retaining wall, correct?
It is, yes.
131. Looks like cone 8 on the right, lower right there.
Yes, that's like an overall photograph of an area that evidence was recovered.
And then 132. Items 9 and 10, which are located in the woods near item 8. What are those items?
So item number 9 is going to be a smaller piece of flesh that was recovered, and number 10 I documented as a larger piece of flesh.
133 is going to be a closer, slightly closer view. .134 is going to be a close-up of number 9. And 135 will be a close-up of number 10. .136, number 9. 137. Is this sort of just an image of the retaining wall in the relation to where those items were found? Those body parts of flesh?
Yes.
Okay. How big were items 9 and 10, if you could describe?
Detective Jen, can you pull that mic back around towards you, please? Thank you.
The smaller piece of flesh was approximately 2 by 2 inches. The larger piece of flesh was approximately 6 by 6 inches.
Here's 138. What is that cone down there? Number 11?
Yes, that's going to be evidence marker number 11.
And do you know what number 11 was?
Yes, number 11 was a human foot.
.139. The foot is to the left of the evidence marker.
It is, yes. .140. What's that? That is a closer photograph of the the human foot that was recovered.
141.
So in this photograph, we're depicting that the toenail polish on the human foot was pink.
And this foot on the top of the image, that is the retaining wall, right?
It is, yes.
So the foot was right up against the retaining wall.
Yes.
142. When the foot was found, was it covered by some leaves there?
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead to 144. Another view of where the foot was. And 143 and 145 are going to be images of the foot. The cut line at the ankle, how would you describe it, Detective?
It appears to be a straight cut that the foot was severed.
$145. Top view from the ankle.
Yes.
Are you able to see that same straight cut just from the top?
Yes.
And there's another piece of flesh coming off of the ankle, correct?
That is correct, yes.
So in sum, Detective, when that night, when you documented that scene, that would have been the night of April 5th and then going over the midnight hour into April 6th, you located a total of 3 separate pieces of human remains, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Can you just reiterate what those 3 separate things were?
Yes, the 3 separate human remains were a smaller piece of flesh, approximately 2 by 2 inches. The second piece of flesh was larger, approximately 6 by 6, and it was the left foot, human foot.
Was the medical examiner called to the scene?
Yes, medical legal death investigator is their official term that responded.
That would be your standard practice would be when you have a homicide or a case that involves recovery of human remains that you would summon the Milwaukee County medical examiners to the scene.
Yes, that is correct.
And do they then recover the human remains?
Yes,
Was that done here?
it was, yes.
Was there a specific case number assigned to the recovery of the remains we just discussed?
Yes, there was.
Was it medical examiner case number 24-02399?
Yes.
As you indicated before, there were a number of other items in addition to the human remains that you marked with an evidence cone, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Were any of those other items deemed to be relevant in any way?
No, they were not.
Could you just give us a rundown of what those other items were?
Yes, we located, I believe it was 5 spent casings. We located a condom that appeared to be used at some point. It was outside of its wrapper. We located a doll that was screwed into a tree. I recovered screws that were next to that doll. There was a burlap sack that initially we believed may contain human remains. When we opened that burlap sack, it was a dog that was placed in the sack, and it was rotting at that point.
Casings, right?
Yes.
Did you mention that? Okay. Those casings, were they like worn?
It was hard to tell how long that they've been there.
In some, those other items seem to have been items that had been there for quite some time. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Lastly, Detective, what we just talked about, flesh located in this area here, correct?
Yes.
It says and bone, but that, you didn't find the bone on this site, right?
No, that was found at a later time.
And then the foot was right about here.
Yes.
And that retaining wall is basically, you can't see it on here because it's kind of contained within those trees and brush. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
I have nothing else. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
Good morning. What was in the backpack the person was wearing?
I don't know.
You've studied these videos, you said dozens of hours, hundreds of hours you've spent watching the videos?
I believe I stated that I watched the videos dozens of times.
Okay, thank you, dozens of times. Can you see blood on the backpack?
No.
One would expect that if they were putting body parts in a backpack, you'd see blood on it, wouldn't you?
That's fair to say, sure.
In the dozens of times you've watched, and when you say dozens of times you've watched the tapes, we're referring to really all of the tapes that you had canvassed throughout that area, right? Because you've watched all of them multiple times.
Yes.
Did the car, the Honda Civic, did Sade's Honda Civic ever stop at the park here that's on the screen on Exhibit 191 at Kalina?
I don't know if it did or not.
You're not sure?
No.
And that's because there's no video that actually shows that car ever stopping at that park, right?
That is correct.
And similarly, it's true that there's no video of a person getting out of that car at the park at Galena. You would agree with that as well?
Could you repeat that question, please?
Sure. There's no video of a person getting out of that Civic at this park area at Galena, is there?
No, there was not.
Certainly we have the video we've seen of a person walking, but I want to talk about the videos of the car. In all the videos of the car that you've watched, who's driving the car? Can you see?
You cannot see who's driving, no.
Can you see a gender of a person?
No.
So then I'm assuming you can't tell the race of the person in the videos you've watched?
Not in the vehicle itself.
And we saw that one clip yesterday. Where there was the passenger window was going up. Do you remember that video?
Yes.
And that was actually when the car was going sort of near that playground area, right?
Yes, that would have been eastbound on West Walnut, just prior to turning north on 30th Street.
Sure. And in that video, when the passenger window was going up, Mr. Vance Curzan asked you about whether you could see a passenger, but you also couldn't see a driver in that video, right?
That is correct.
And when you look at that video, when you study it closely, can you see, are there body parts of any sort visible in the car when you look in on that video?
I could not see, no.
Now, we watched a video this morning again of Lisbon Avenue. That was a liquor store, 2900 West Lisbon, where that that footage was secured from, correct?
Yes.
And you were involved in actually getting that video. You talked to the owner of the liquor store and acquired the video, right?
Yes, that is correct.
He was cooperative with you and turned it over, correct?
Yes.
Isn't it true that you also, you don't work alone, you work with Detective Ryan Casey also, don't you?
Yes.
So you're Casey Donahue, but we also have Detective Ryan Casey, right?
Yes, that is correct.
And He's part of the homicide unit as well, so he's trained on these types of matters.
He is, yes.
And is it true, would you agree with me that oftentimes when two people work together, one detective might do the report, another detective might not do the report, right?
Yes, that is correct.
And so sometimes when people are partnered up, if you work closely with Ryan Casey, he might be the one to draft the report on April 5th. You might be the one to draft the report on a different date, right?
Yes,
You would agree that on April 5th was the day when you and Detective Ryan Casey went to Lisbon Liquor to get those videos, right?
yes,
And in fact, Mr. Singh, Parmejit Singh, Paramejet, took you into their room where they have the DVR and he turned over those tapes, right?
yes,
And you guys actually watched them together right away on April 5th, didn't you?
yes, we did review them while we were at the liquor store.
You would agree with me that and now this is 3 days after the incident, 3 days after April 2nd, right?
Yes,
Between April 2nd and that date, you had never we saw the two women that were on the street in front of the liquor store, right?
yes, that is correct.
But between April 2nd and April 5th, neither you nor your partner had ever spoken to those women, right?
No, I have not spoken to either of those witnesses. I cannot speak for Detective Casey, whether he had spoke with them at any time or not.
Okay, and the two of you watched, right, you can only speak to who you've talked to. You have not talked to either of those women, right?
I have not.
Now, on April 5th, when you watched the tape, you would agree that that there was a report written about the two of you watching the tape, fair to say?
Yes,
In that when you guys watched the tape, you could see the women on the sidewalk and that they were pointing in the direction of a person. You noted that, right?
yes,
But you would also agree that in the report, it's indicated they're yelling something, quote, inaudible. Would you agree with that?
that is what Detective Ryan Casey's report reflects. My observations and what I heard on the video is what I testified to.
Sure. Did you ever draft a report that reflects your impressions of the tape?
No,
Now, eyewitnesses, well, how long have you been a detective? I'm sorry.
since 2020.
Certainly, eyewitness testimony can be a form of evidence in any criminal case, right?
Yes,
And it can be an important form of evidence because it can help shape your investigation, for starters, right?
yes,
It can help you pursue leads. An eyewitness might tell you to look at a certain area, so that's another reason it could be useful, right?
yes,
And an eyewitness could be right. That's another reason they could be useful because an eyewitness may be accurate with what they're saying, correct?
yes. When we speak with eyewitnesses, we will want to corroborate any sort of information that's given to us.
And they can also be wrong.
Yes, that is correct.
They can make a mistaken identification.
Yes,
There's ways to try to figure that out, video surveillance, DNA evidence, but eyewitnesses can be wrong.
is
Right?
that a question?
Yes.
Yes, yes,
And-
they can.
In their ability to observe, in this case, for example, we watched the video again this morning, and you saw the woman who's pointing, right? The woman who's pointing and making the statement. She really only looks over in that area for about 6 to 7 seconds. Would you agree with that?
In which area are you referring to?
The 2900 West Lisbon footage, when we see the man walking across the field and she goes, he did it or whatever she said, she only looks over in that direction for about 6 to 7 seconds. Would you agree with that?
I would have to watch the video again, but that is an approximation that,
Okay. And obviously, she may you would agree with me that a person who is making an observation, their view can be impacted if they're under the influence, right?
yes, amongst other things,
What are some of the other things?
stress,
Weather conditions?
yes,
Obviously, if a person knows someone or doesn't know someone, that can be an important consideration too, right?
Yes,
In terms of making identifications as a detective, there's a procedure you can use as a detective to try to, I'm sorry, give me a minute, please. As a detective, there's procedures you can use to try to make an identification, right?
yes, that is correct.
You can do what's called a live lineup,
Correct.
where you take a group of people, one might be a suspect, some people aren't suspects, and you put them out in a room, and there's a process to it, but essentially the eyewitness can choose if they see the person.
Yes, that is correct.
And there's also photo arrays that can be done where specific photos are used of, for example, Max Anderson, and then other photos of other people to show, is this the person you saw, right?
Yes,
And that, you never did that, you yourself never did that with either of these two women, right?
I did not, no.
Now,
Detective Donahue, can you pull that mic towards you again? Thank you.
in the woman on the street who's pointing, I'm sorry, you never had her do any photo array or a live lineup. Do I have that right?
I did not speak with her, no.
Now, she never yelled, he threw a lighter. Did you ever hear that on any of the tape you watched? He threw a lighter?
I did not, no.
Did you investigate any other car fires at that location, either before or after this incident?
I am not an arson investigator, so that is not a part of my duties, so I cannot speak on whether other car fires occurred at that location or not.
You said that there was basically canvassing around the clock. Did I have that correct?
Yes,
When you say that, are you talking from April 2nd when the car is lit on fire until until April 5th or 6th? What did you mean by that? When did the around the clock canvassing start?
I am unaware of the exact date that it started. The sheriff's department did reach out to the Milwaukee Police Department, and they asked us to assist in recovering video pertaining to this case. I can't say which exact day that was, but it was, in approximation would be maybe 2 days after.
Got it, April 4th or April 5th, somewhere around there.
Correct.
And in between April 2nd and April 4th or April 5th, no body parts are found in that area.
That was the first time any sort of human remains were discovered at that park.
April 5th.
Yes.
Max was arrested April 4th, you know that.
I don't know exactly which day he was arrested.
Okay. The person with the backpack on, that person wasn't running.
No,
In any of the videos you watched, was that person running?
no,
Or appeared to even be in a hurry, right? Didn't even appear to be really in a hurry.
no.
And when you looked in that park on April 5th, when you examined the park, one of the things you just said you found were spent bullet casings.
Yes,
Well, that's evidence of a shooting, right?
yes,
Used condom, whatever, make of that whatever you will, could be two people had sex, obviously, right?
yes,
Okay. You found a bag, a burlap sack with remains in it of a dog. That could be evidence of animal cruelty, right?
correct.
High crime area, agreed?
Yes,
Meaning that area surrounding that park and even Lisbon Avenue.
yes,
There's lots of police response in that area.
yes,
Now, the person on the tape with the backpack, you pointed out the shoes yesterday, the white shoes. Remember that?
I don't believe I stated white shoes.
I thought you said white soles on the shoes. You were directing us to look at. No?
Yeah, so it would be towards the bottom sole area.
Okay, that's what you were pointing out though, right?
Yes,
That person did not appear to ever have gloves on, did he?
I don't know.
Well, you never saw gloves on that person on any of the videos, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
And nor did the person appear to be wet.
I'm sorry?
Nor did the person appear to be wet.
Wet?
Wet. Covered in water, soaking, right?
You can't tell from the video that I was watching.
Okay. And then, Judge, I'm just going to approach the witness, if I may, and show a few exhibits. It'll be 305, 306, 307, and 308. Okay?
Go right ahead.
If that's all right. I'm going to start by just showing you these pictures and asking you to look at these.
Yes.
You got a chance to look at those?
Yes, I did.
Could you start by identifying Exhibit 305, please?
Yes, that's a photograph of evidence markers 6 and 7, and what is depicted to be a doll screwed to the tree.
So if we look down, that's what you're talking about, that doll right there?
Yes,
And then Exhibit 306. Same thing?
yes,
And then 307, same thing?
yes,
308. Is that the doll?
yes, it is.
And it looks, it might not be perfectly visible. It appears that there's a screw right in the middle of the forehead and then 2 of them on the eyes.
Yes,
And is that blood smear on the side of the tree as well, the red substance?
I don't know what that is.
Okay. So some person, and this is in the same park where you find human flesh, right?
Yes,
Move these exhibits 305 through 308 in evidence, please.
Any objection?
No objection to the admissibility, however, the numbering of them, I think, is going to conflict with exhibits we've already numbered. But we can address that later.
Okay.
That's my only,
I will receive them, and actually, I think we're going to renumber them right now. And
Okay.
we're going to renumber them as 50,
can we start at 600?
600?
Yes, please.
Let's go to 800 to be on the safe side. So we'll do it as 801, 802, 803, and 804.
And then, Judge, while Attorney Finling is marking those, is it okay if I proceed? So Detective, then, you had these photos taken because obviously that's not a typical thing to see in general, right?
yes. When I did my initial walkthrough and began to photograph and collect evidence, at that point, early on in the investigation, we don't know what's relevant and we don't know what's not relevant. I was informed that homeless encampments near train tracks often place these dolls as a kind of a protection symbol.
Interesting. So the homeless encampment you're talking about right below, essentially right below that crime scene, right?
It would have been near, it was further down
Yeah,
south.
further south of the, if you were to go down on the train tracks, then a little bit south of that, right?
Yes,
So you attributed that to the, potentially the homeless encampment, but you actually, you went to the homeless encampment and talked to people, right?
yes, I did.
You never asked anybody about that doll, did you?
Objection calls for hearsay.
No,
No, it's actually a question, so it wouldn't call for hearsay, and you can answer it if you're able.
I did not know.
the, okay, so the body part, the tissue samples, the body parts that were located, obviously those were kept as evidence and sent to the lab, right? The crime lab,
Yes,
for further testing.
correct.
Similar to how, did you ever direct any of those items to be tested for DNA?
I did not send any of the items to the crime lab.
That would be some other person to ask about that, right?
Yes,
Okay, those are all my questions.
State?
Just to clarify, Detective, it's not just that the disposal of those body parts wasn't captured on video, it's that there was no video of that playground. Is that a correct statement?
that is correct.
Nothing else?
Defense?
No,
Thank you, Detective. State your next witness.
State calls Detective Jose Flores.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
If you could please be seated, state and spell your name for the record.
Joscflores. Jose Flores,
How are you employed?
as a detective for the city of Milwaukee,
How long have you been with the department?
since December of 2015,
How long have you been a detective?
a little over 4 years.
Prior to that, what was your rank?
Police officer,
Where are you currently assigned?
the homicide division,
And how long have you been assigned to the homicide division?
since September of 2021.
So you were working in that capacity on April 6th, 2024?
Yes,
Did you participate in the search of a playground located at 31st and Galena in the city of Milwaukee?
yes.
Can you describe what your role was that day?
I worked the late shift, so 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. We were instructed to meet our early shift, who had discovered some human remains. We were instructed by Sergeant Nathan Butts, BUTZ, to conduct a search of the immediate area east of the playground and south of Galena, or 31st.
Was Detective Casey Donahue one of the detectives that you joined out there?
Yes,
And were you working with a partner that night into morning?
several detectives and officers.
When you started, when you got there, was it dark out?
It was.
Can you describe what your search entailed?
We were instructed to conduct a grid search through the wooded area east of the playground, and then along the train tracks southwest about a half mile, and it's approximately 2.3 acres of terrain.
What's a grid search?
Just section by section, trying our best to locate evidence.
So does that entail multiple detectives or police officers working together?
Yes.
Is that a more thorough type of search?
Yes.
Okay, can you actually give us a little bit of detail on what you do?
As a detective, or to locate evidence, what we do, honestly, I work at night, so we bring out big flashlights, handheld flashlights, and honestly, we just get online together and look down, look up, and foot by foot try to search the best we can for any potential evidence related to the incident.
And what was your knowledge of what had been found as you came on shift and came to that playground to conduct your search?
We were briefed that there was some human remains located.
Are you familiar with that park?
Yes.
Can you describe how you get down to the railroad tracks?
The terrain was a little difficult to traverse. There's a large hill. It was quite muddy and it was pretty steep. And we went down that hill to go to the train tracks through a wooded area.
Is that the first area that you searched, the railroad track area?
Yes.
Showing you exhibits 147 through 154. If you can briefly look at those and let me know if you recognize what those depict.
It's going to be the area east of the playground, the railroad tracks, and the wooded area.
And those are areas you searched?
Yes.
Before we get to these photos, I just want to draw your attention to exhibit 191, which is up here. Are you able to see that from where you're sitting? Or?
I am.
Okay. And actually, I will have you step down if you can to just identify where you started and where you ended in terms of your search.
We were briefed in the park area, and then we proceeded down through this wooded area, down that hill, and then onto the train tracks. And then our search consisted southwest all the way down to, I believe, the 35th Street Bridge.
Okay, thank you. You can have a seat. Showing you exhibit 147. What is that?
That's the area just east of the playground.
Okay, so kind of at the beginning of
Yes.
that trail that descends down.
Correct.
Exhibit 148.
That's the trail that descends down onto the tracks.
You can see the train tracks in that picture.
Yes.
Exhibit 149.
Just on the train tracks, the dense grassy area.
What street is this up here?
That should be Galena. Or 31st, sorry.
Okay. Exhibit number 50.
It's just another view of the way down to the tracks.
Looking back up at the playground.
Correct. An additional view.
This bridge depicted in 151 and 149, could that be the Walnut Bridge?
Yes.
Okay, you
Apologies.
previously said it was the 31st and Walnut intersect though, correct?
Yes.
Exhibit 152, what is that?
That is just another view of coming down to the train tracks.
Exhibit 153,
A different view, same area,
exhibit 154,
the same area.
and you can see that there's a lot of debris or trash that's been disposed of. Did you look through all of those areas?
To the best of our ability, I remember that night, it was approximately 32 degrees. It was wet. A lot of the terrain was wet, icy, and as we work at night, it was a little difficult to navigate through all that terrain.
Okay, talk about your search of the train tracks, please.
After we proceeded down to the train tracks, we essentially, all the officers and detectives I was with, we got online together and we used our flashlights and we just walked slowly, as slow as we can, trying to identify any potential evidence related to this incident. We walked all the way southwest to the 35th Street Bridge and then turned around and proceeded back the way we came.
What, if anything, did you locate?
We eventually located skeletal remains
Where?
on the train tracks near where we first started.
Showing you exhibits 155 through 160, can you identify what those are if you know?
It's the skeletal remains that we located along with the crime scene evidence marker.
Permission, sorry, I'm moving actually exhibits 147 through 154 in, and then I move exhibits 155 through 160 in with permission to publish these.
Any objection?
No.
147 to 160 they are admitted and you may publish.
Okay, what are we looking at here?
That is the skeletal remains along with the crime scene evidence marker.
156?
Just a closer view of the skeletal remains.
Does this appear to be both bone and flesh?
Yes.
What is this?
That's just depicting the train tracks in which the evidence was located, along with the marker. And then this, the same view without the evidence marker.
That's 158.
Correct.
159.
And that's just going to be the picture showing the general area in which it was located.
Okay, which direction are the train tracks from there?
They would be west.
And 160?
That would be the entrance down to the train tracks again.
How far from that path, that entrance, was the bone found?
Not very far. The pictures try to show a reflection of the scene, but it was not very far.
Approximately how large was the bone?
I don't recall the approximate, but it was large enough for us to take note.
What did you do with that?
After discovering the skeletal remains, we contacted the medical examiner's office. A forensic investigator from the medical examiner's office responded, Lindsay Doome, D-O-O-M-E. And at that point, they began to conduct their investigation. Forensic investigator Doome determined that it was bone, and then they then document it, recover it for it to be assessed by an expert from the medical examiner's office.
They determined it to be a human bone, correct?
Correct.
Approximately what time was that located?
I believe 5:42 a.m.
And did that bone get assigned the same medical case exam number that the other items that were recovered in this playground got? Or did it get a different number?
I believe at the time it got a different number.
Okay, was that number 242403?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Cross?
Thank you. Good morning, Detective.
Good morning.
So you would testify that you're a homicide detective?
Yes.
And how long have you been a homicide detective?
Since September of 2021.
And one of your roles in this investigation was to search this Galena Street playground area, correct?
Yes.
And you had said that you arrived around, you said your shift was from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m.?
Correct,
And so I assume you arrived at like midnight.
approximately.
And by the time you arrived, there were already detectives on scene, correct?
Yes.
How many, do you remember?
I don't recall the members of the early shift, though.
Okay. And this is 12 a.m. on what day, April 5th?
It would be the next morning after they initially responded.
Okay, so yeah, they responded April 4th, late at night, and then, so this is April 5th.
Correct.
And you were you joined by Detective Donahue, or was he already there?
He would have already been there.
So detectives had already been around, and they briefed you and said, we'd found some human remains in this area, and so one of your roles was to kind of search this entire area.
Yes,
And you had explained that you did a grid search.
to the best of our ability, yes, sir.
And I'm trying to like kind of picture this. It's like a bunch of detectives or law enforcement in a giant line walking in unison, correct?
Yes,
And you have, and because and you start this search, it's probably still dark out, right?
it was.
And so you're using flashlights to, flash on the ground and flash, up into trees maybe.
Correct.
Because, I mean, you can't see things with the naked eye, so you got to use a flashlight.
It's definitely harder, sir.
And all of these detectives are on foot, right?
Yes, sir.
And because you'd been briefed before you got there, so you knew what you were looking for, probably human remains or bones, right?
Any potential evidence?
And so you're aware that, were you aware that they had found, like, very small pieces of human remains before you arrived?
Yes,
So you knew you had to be looking for maybe small pieces of human remains, maybe larger, the sizes could vary.
any potential evidence, sir.
And this search went on for hours, right?
Yes, sir.
Because we see these photos and it looks like the sun is, I don't know if it's up or not, but you can see that it's light out.
Yes.
So probably, can you approximate how many hours you spent searching?
We were briefed somewhere around midnight, and I believe this was 5:40 in the morning, so hours, several hours,
Yeah.
6 hours.
And we saw pictures of, it looks like there's a trail that goes from this park, this playground park, the wooded area, to the train tracks, correct?
Yes,
And, we saw, it doesn't look like it's an established path from like the park system. It looks like it might just be human-made of people walking up and down.
it was a path, yeah. I don't know if it was established or not, but it was
Yeah,
a
I
path.
understand you're probably not part of the park service that makes
Correct.
these. Okay. And you testified that the terrain that you were searching through was, I think you said, difficult to navigate, right?
Yes,
And is that just because it's like this wooded area is just full of logs and leaves and trash?
well, the train track, again, we were all online, so the train tracks was less hard to navigate. As you get closer to the wall, yes, it would have been a little harder due to the field was wet, and it was cold.
And it's probably even more difficult because you're not really familiar with this park. It's not like you on a Tuesday afternoon, you're going walking in this park.
Can you repeat that question, sir?
Well, I can rephrase that, actually. The area you're searching is difficult to navigate because you're not really familiar with that area. You don't commonly walk in that area.
I would more sort of say the weather conditions, the field, and like I said, the train tracks weren't necessarily, and then again, we're doing this at nighttime, so that also was difficult for us.
So the most difficult part to navigate is when you're in the wooded area, right?
Yes,
Because you see the train tracks, it's a wide open space. It's very easy to walk that.
yes,
And during this, and you testified this was a very, as thorough search as you could, right?
correct.
And during your search, you located the bone, kind of almost rusting on the train track?
It was on the train tracks.
Did you locate any other human remains at that time?
Not at that time, sir.
Did you locate any other piece of evidence of value that you ended up sending to the crime lab?
No, sir, not at that time.
You don't recall ever locating a blanket during that search on April 5th, correct?
We did not, no.
And you didn't find a weapon of any sorts, correct?
No.
I have nothing further.
State?
You testified when we started talking on direct, you testified that your shift started on April 6th at midnight. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so when defense counsel said April 5th, and you answered a question about finding the bone on April 5th, was that, can you just clarify what date you found it on?
Apologies. We start at midnight. So whatever the shift prior, whenever they started, we come in the following morning. So apologies if I misspoke.
So which date was it?
It would have been the 6th.
Okay, so on April 5th is when detectives initially found pieces of flesh and the foot, and you then were called in to assist.
Yes.
I have nothing further.
Defense?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
State your next witness.
State calls Detective Cassandra Lindert.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can please be seated, state and spell your name for the record.
Cassandra Lindert, CASSANDRA
How are you employed?
as a sergeant for the City of Milwaukee Police Department.
How long have you been with the department?
Total about 11 and a half years.
What's your current assignment?
Currently, I'm assigned as a sergeant to District 6 early shift.
Prior to becoming sergeant, what was your capacity with the department?
I was a detective assigned to the homicide division.
How long were you a homicide unit detective?
Approximately 2.5 years.
Were you working in that capacity in April of 2024?
I was.
Specifically April 6th, 2024?
I was.
On that date, did you participate in a search of the playground at 31st and Galena?
I did.
Can you describe what you did there?
On April 6th, I was dispatched to 31st and Galena to the park. I was informed that family and friends of Sade Robinson had responded to the park because they had saw a news article the night prior that police were at the park and were searching it for evidence.
And I should clarify, you actually were there on April 5th as well, correct?
I was.
So why don't you describe when your shift started on April 5th and describe what you did once you got to the park?
On April 5th, my shift would have been 4 p.m. to midnight. I was involved with a team of other homicide detectives. We went to the park due to some video that was retrieved, and we began searching the park. During that search, it was nighttime, and I located a piece of flesh and a left foot.
And was Detective Casey Donahue part of that search as well?
He was.
And was he with you, or did he come after when you located that?
He was with me.
Then what happened?
The search continued on the 5th. My shift would have been over that night, and then I returned to work on the 6th, 4 p.m. to midnight.
Were you searching that playground in conjunction with a specific reported missing person?
Yes.
Who was that?
Sade Robinson.
As it relates to the foot and the piece of human flesh that you located, the medical examiner was summoned to collect those items?
Yes.
Why don't you describe your work on April 6th then in that area when you returned?
So like I was saying, April 6th, I was sent to the park because family members had called our dispatch center saying that they went to the park after seeing the police there the night prior in a news article that were searching for evidence. Specifically on the 6th, the family stated that they had found a blanket that belonged to Sade Robinson.
Describe what happened when you arrived.
When I arrived at the park on 31st and Galena, I briefly met with some of Sade's family and friends that were there. They explained to me that they basically conducted their own search of the park after seeing the news article, and that they had located a pink blanket that belonged to Sade.
Approximately what time was this?
It was approximately 5:10 p.m.
Where did you meet the friends?
Just in the general area of, like, inside the small park on 31st and Galena.
Then what happened?
After they briefed with me, they took me to the area where they located the pink blanket and showed it to me, and I viewed that myself.
Was there one particular person in particular who you were speaking to?
Yes.
What was that person's name?
I believe her first name was Angela.
Did you document this conversation and contact in a report?
Correct.
Would it help you to review your report?
Yes.
Up with the name? Why don't you take a look at this and let me know if it's out.
I'm done.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do you remember the name now?
Yes, it was Kiana Moore.
Okay, where did Ms. Moore take you to show you the blanket?
She took me to the wooded area, and the blanket was located kind of centrally north and south in the park.
If I showed you a map of the park, would you be able to give us a general idea of where the blanket was found?
Yes.
Showing you what's been previously received as exhibit number 191. Do you recognize that?
I do.
That's the 31st and Galena Park and surrounding area?
Correct.
Can you point on there where the blanket was found?
Yes. I would say it was approximately in here.
So south of where you located the foot?
Correct.
Is that an area that had previously been searched to your knowledge?
Yes.
Can you describe that area in terms of what all is there?
So that area in particular is the wooded area that runs north and south in the park on the east side. It's pretty densely wooded. It's not a very well-kept park, so there's a lot of overbrush and like garbage, I guess, and just random stuff that's in the weeds and the grass of the park.
Can you describe what you found when you arrived?
So when I arrived and viewed the blanket, it was kind of just balled up on the ground. It was wet from being on the ground for the night, and also kind of dirty with just dirt and leaves and stuff that were attached to it.
What did you do then?
We opened the blanket, and I could see that there was a photo printed on the blanket of the face of Sade Robinson, along with a small size, like, brown dog that her friends and family told me also belonged to her at one point.
That photo of Sade, was that readily apparent? If you had passed that blanket just walking, would the photograph have been readily apparent?
Once the blanket was opened, it would have been. The way the blanket was when I found it, you couldn't really see that the photo was printed on the front of it.
What else did you do?
Once we located the blanket, and I did confirm that the photo on the blanket appeared to be Sade Robinson, I requested officers secure the park again. So they used police tape to secure the perimeter of the park, and I requested that Sade's family and friends and other citizens that were in the park be moved to the outer perimeter so we could do another search of the park.
Then what happened?
Myself and some other officers began a search of the wooded area again inside the park.
Did you locate anything else?
So close to the blanket, I located a small piece of what appeared to be flesh. I also located a small piece of what appeared to be bone. The bone appeared to be somewhat fresh as it was still like pink or red with a little bit of like flesh attached to it.
Anything else?
Yeah, so as the search continued, along the retaining wall that runs north-south in the park, that separates the park from the train tracks, approximately 8 feet south of where I located the foot the night prior, I found a mound of debris that consisted of like leaves, sticks, and some smaller logs that appeared to have been intentionally kind of piled together. It seemed out of place. I began removing the top layer of the debris when I then could observe a larger portion of what appeared to be flesh that was a darker skin tone.
After finding these pieces of flesh and bone, did you, I know you've described the sequence in which you've searched. Was somebody there present recovering these items as you're searching?
Yes, so once we made the determination that we found the smaller chunk of flesh, the bone, and then the larger that was buried, we froze the scene, called for a forensic investigator along with the medical examiner, the Milwaukee County medical examiner.
The medical examiner's office recovered these items then?
Yes.
I'm going to show you exhibits 161 through 181 and ask you if you recognize them.
161 is a photo of the park after it had been taped off.
And you can just go through those and let me know if you recognize what each one is, and then we can go through individually what they are.
Yes, I do recognize. I recognize all of them.
I'd ask for exhibits 161 through 181 to be received and published. Any objection?
No.
They received, go ahead.
All right, before we do that, I just want to draw your attention back to exhibit number 191. Could you step down and point to where the items that you've just described were located?
Yes. So again, I would say the blanket was located approximately here. The smaller chunk of flesh and the bone that I located was very close to the blanket. And then the larger chunk of flesh that appeared to be covered by logs was along the retaining wall, which can't be seen, but it would have been south of the foot location.
You can have a seat. Showing you exhibit 161, just to get oriented, what are we looking at?
That is a view of the park taped off by police tape, and that's in particular the playground section.
Okay, what street is over here?
That would be 31st Street.
162, what are we looking at?
That is a photo of, I believe, myself and a couple other detectives beginning a search of the park.
Where is this relative to 161?
I believe that would have been south of the playground on the east side, right before entering the wooded area.
163, what is that?
That is an overall of kind of walking into that particular section of the wooded area on the 6th where we located those items I spoke about.
Are you familiar with this building?
Not very.
Okay. Do you know what street that's on?
That should be south facing Galena.
Showing you 164, what is that?
That is evidence marker 1, which is I placed next to the pink blanket.
Exhibit 165,
It's another view of evidence marker 1 and the pink blanket.
do you recall if the blanket was wet or had it appeared to have been moved at all?
It was pretty saturated from being out on the ground. In the state we found it is how it was photographed.
Exhibit 166, what is that?
Evidence marker 3, which I would have placed next to, I believe, the smaller chunk of, smaller piece of flesh.
Exhibit number 167, what is that?
That's evidence marker 4, which I placed next to the pile of debris where the larger chunk of, the larger piece of flesh was located.
So here's 168. You can see exhibit markers 3 and 4, correct?
Correct.
Where are those relative to where the blanket was found?
I believe the blanket was slightly south of there.
Exhibit 169, what is that?
That's another view of the pink blanket looking south.
What about exhibit 170? What is that?
It's evidence marker 2 that I placed next to the small bone that I located.
I'm zooming in. There's a ruler there, correct?
Correct.
Approximately how big was that piece of bone?
I would say approximately 3 to 4 inches.
Exhibit number 171, what is that?
So this is a view of evidence marker 4, which was placed kind of on top of the pile of debris. This particular view is kind of looking from the top down.
And is that how you first observed this?
It is.
And are you the first one to locate this item?
Yes.
Law enforcement uncovered it?
Yes.
Did you uncover it?
Just briefly to see that there's something under there, and then we froze it for the medical examiner.
Exhibit 172, what is that?
That's another view from the top looking down of evidence marker 4. Now more of the debris has been uncovered.
And you described that as being what?
Well, at the time it was we couldn't tell for sure, but it was definitely a larger piece of flesh. It appeared to be a dark skin complexion.
Exhibit 173.
Evidence marker number 3 that I placed next to the smaller piece of flesh.
Exhibit 174.
This is a view again of evidence marker 4, now looking kind of at it towards the east.
Before it was uncovered?
Correct.
Exhibit 175.
Another view of evidence marker 4.
Exhibit 176.
A close-up view of evidence marker number 4.
Prior to the debris being moved.
Correct.
Exhibit 177.
That would be a close-up of evidence marker 2, which depicts the smaller piece of bone.
Exhibit 178.
So now this is where the medical examiner laid down a yellow tarp, and she placed evidence 2, which is the bone, on top of the tarp with the ruler next to it.
And you were present for that?
Yes.
Exhibit 179.
That's evidence marker 3, which is the small chunk of flesh that was located. Again, the medical examiner removed it from the wooded area and placed it on top of a yellow tarp.
Exhibit 180.
That's evidence marker number 4, which the medical examiner moved to the tarp and now revealed that it was a human leg, which appeared to be severed above the knee and at the ankle.
So that would be the calf portion of a leg.
Correct.
Exhibit 181.
It's a close-up of the human leg where it was severed at the ankle.
Did you make any observations of how that was severed?
Where it was severed at the ankle appeared to be pretty clean. I believe the medical examiner stated she believed the ankle was
Objection, hearsay.
Any exception?
I think I can ask a different question.
Okay.
Just your personal observations.
It appeared to be more cleanly cut at the ankle.
You contacted the medical examiner's office, and are you aware that this was given a medical examiner case number?
Yes,
And is that case number 242415?
I believe so.
The portion of the leg that was covered under, what kind of debris did you testify it was covered under?
A larger pile of leaves, some small sticks, and then some like larger logs.
You testified that it looked unnatural, or like an unnatural portion of the landscape, correct?
Correct.
Did it appear to you that it had been intentionally covered?
To me, yes.
The blanket, is that something that was recovered by law enforcement
Yes.
and it was placed on inventory?
Yes.
I'm going to have Detective Donner show you. 146. That number fell off. Going to have Detective Donner show you Exhibit 162. 46. I just wrote that and I couldn't remember it. Do you know what that contains?
It should contain the blanket.
I'm going to have you open that and identify what's in it.
So this would be the pink blanket that I recovered from the park at 31st and Galena. that shows Sade Robinson's face on it.
I'd ask that Exhibit 146 be received.
Any objection?
No.
It's received.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Cross?
Yes, thank you. So I just want to start with kind of like the timeline of kind of some of the searches you did. You really participated in 2 searches of this Galena Street Park, correct?
Correct.
The first one was on April 5th, correct?
Yes.
And at what time of the day was that?
That was later at night. I believe we may have arrived at the park around 8:30 p.m.
Okay. And you're searching this park with other detectives, correct?
Correct.
And during that search on April 5th, that's where you locate, was it 2 pieces of human remains and then a human left foot, correct?
Correct.
And after that search, your shift ended, you went home, right?
Right.
And then the next day, you received a call from Sade Robinson's family or her friends about how they conducted their own search, correct?
I was dispatched to the assignment, correct?
Okay. But you're aware that there was a call to law enforcement that the family had done their own search in this park, correct?
Correct.
And they had conducted that search. Do you know whether police were present during that time or not?
I believe police were not present.
Okay, so after the search on April 5th, police leave, and then Sade Robinson's family comes in and does a search of their own, correct?
Correct.
And so when you arrived on scene, you're aware that the family had said they found a blanket, correct?
Yes.
And you testified on direct examination that the area where the blanket was found had been searched the prior day, correct?
Correct.
And this is multiple detectives and police officers walking through this wooded area, and no blanket was located on April 5th, correct?
At that time, correct.
And we saw a picture of the blanket. It's a distinct pink color. We saw how the position it was when you arrived, right?
Right.
It's pink. There looked like the underside was white, correct?
Correct.
And then about 8 or a couple feet from the blanket, you found more human remains, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't find those remains on April 5th. You found those on April 6th, correct?
Correct.
And so, just to be clear, April 5th, no blankets found. April 6th, the blanket is found, correct?
Correct.
And you're not aware of when that blanket was discarded in that park, correct?
I do not know.
You don't know if it was, it was sometime before April 6th, because that's when you found it, right?
Correct.
And are you aware that what day Max Anderson was arrested?
Not in particular.
Okay. And were you in charge of ever reviewing any surveillance? Was that a different person's job?
That was different detectives.
Okay. And just briefly here, you said that the human remains that you found looked like they were almost intentionally covered up.
Correct.
With leaves and dirt.
Yes.
And that's why, one of the photos you said that some of the debris had been removed and you were able to see a more clear view of what it was, right?
Correct.
And that blanket that you just opened, was that swabbed for DNA?
I believe it was sent to the crime lab.
And when you found it, did you do any preliminary review of it? Have you found any hair or anything?
I just examined it myself. I did observe some red spots that appeared to be blood, but we don't conduct any tests ourselves at the detective level for that.
Yeah, But I mean, your main role is you find the blanket and you secure it and make sure you preserve any evidence that could be found on the blanket or near the blanket, right?
Correct.
I have nothing further.
State?
Based on your involvement in this search, and your knowledge of that area, is it that do you know if that blanket had been there when you searched previously on April 5th?
Objection, speculation.
If you're able to answer it, you can answer it.
On April 5th, I actually do recall seeing the blanket. It was never opened up or looked at because the park is unfortunately extremely littered. There's miscellaneous garbage and clothing items and things like that in the park.
I have nothing further.
Defense?
Did you draft a report indicating that you saw this blanket when you initially searched on April 5th?
I did not.
Nothing further.
State?
Nothing.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Thank you.
So it's 10:30. It's probably a perfect time to take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and get right back at it. Please leave your notebooks on your seat.
that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
If you could please be seated, state and spell your name for the record.
Detective Justin Sokolowski, JUSTIN SOKOLOWSKI.
How are you employed?
I am employed as a homicide detective for the City of Milwaukee Police Department.
How long have you been with the department?
Over 8 years.
How long have you been a detective?
Over 4 years now.
And how long have you been assigned to the homicide unit?
Over 3 years.
Were you working in that capacity on April 7th, 2024?
I was.
Were you dispatched to the area of 31st and Galena, specifically the playground that's located there?
Correct. Me and my partner were in the area doing follow-up at the time.
Who's your partner?
Detective Michael Driscoll, MICHAEL DRISCOLL.
What did that follow-up consist of?
We were in the area conducting follow-up, looking for video. When we were flagged down by 2 individuals, indicated that they believed that there were human remains on the railroad tracks in the ravine.
Who were those individuals?
Kiana Moore and Arlinda Garza.
And were you able to identify how, whether they were related to Sade Robinson at all?
Correct. They indicated that they were friends of Sade
Objection,
Robinson.
hearsay.
Any response?
I can withdraw the question.
Okay, next question.
They flagged you down, and what did you do in response to that?
After we were flagged down by those 2 individuals, we began searching the area. The area is between West Galena and West Walnut in the 1600 block between North 31st Street and North 30th Street. There is a park there located at 1650 North 31st Street. That park was previously searched on the prior day, and we were pointed directly to the railroad tracks that were located in the ravine between North 31st and North 30th Street. I entered the park that was located at 1650 North 31st Street, and I went east through the ravine to the railroad tracks.
You referenced searches on prior dates.
Correct.
Did you participate in either of those searches, and referencing April 5th and April 6th?
I did not personally know.
So is this the first time that you searched a part of that park?
Correct.
Continue to describe what you did.
So the park is on the edge of a railroad tracks. There's a very steep hill that leads down to the railroad tracks, which is where the 2 individuals indicated that they believed there was additional human remains. Upon going down that hill from the west to the east towards the railroad tracks run from the northeast to the southwest. And I observed what appeared to be a chunk of human bone just west of the railroad tracks and south of the gates that led us to the railroad tracks.
Was there other debris or trash in the area?
Correct. The area is very common to have illegal dumping, which there was multiple garbage bins, other animal debris and things along those nature in that area.
Based on your experience, what did the bone and ligament and tissue appear to be?
So the chunk of human bone that I observed appeared to be a ball joint, and I observed ligaments that were still attached to the ball joint, as well as tissue. What we did was we froze the scene and had the Milwaukee medical examiner come out to the scene and respond to examine the bone.
Did they recover those items?
They did.
Did they get assigned an ME case number 242430?
Yes, they did.
What else did you do?
From there, we conducted an additional search of the immediate area along the railroad tracks to both the northeast and the southwest, looking for additional evidence in the area. There were other animal bones recovered. I believe everything from a dog, deer, and cow were located along those railroad tracks, as well as a bunch of debris and illegal dumping.
No other human bones were found?
Not on that day, no.
Showing you what's been received as Exhibit 191, can you tell us what this is?
That is going to be a Google map overview of the park located at 1650 North 31st Street and the railroad track that I was describing that runs from the northeast to the southwest.
Can you describe on that map where you located the bone that you've just testified to?
I can. So the circle directly to the right of foot location, there's a circle. If you follow that line to the white box that says proximal bone location, that is the approximate location where I discovered the hip joints.
All right, I'm going to show you exhibits 182 through 189.
I don't object to these.
Thank you, then I'll receive them into evidence at this point.
Can you look at those and just let me know if you recognize what they are?
I recognize where this is.
What are those exhibits?
The photos start off with the bridge directly to the south of where I discovered the proximal bone, facing northbound to cover that railroad track area, and then a series of photos getting closer and closer and closer to the bone that was discovered.
Permission to publish these?
Go right ahead.
Let's start out with that bridge. Is that bridge also depicted on exhibit 191?
I believe if you move the photo up slightly, you should be able to see the bridge on West Walnut, which will be in the 3000 block of West Walnut.
Does that help?
I believe it's to the south. So you just barely catch the bridge there where you see Google. That is going to be the 3000 block.
Okay, I'm going to show you exhibit 182 here, and then I'm going to go back to 191, okay? Okay, 182. Your testimony is that this is this southern bridge.
I'm mistaken. That's actually going to be the West Walnut Street on the north side, facing to the south.
This one?
Correct.
Okay. Exhibit 183, what is that?
An additional view of the bridge facing to the south.
Are you sure that this isn't the park?
I believe that's going to be a view of the park from the south.
Exhibit 184.
That is going to be a view from the bridge facing down to the approximate location where the bone was recovered, and that's going to be the light that was set up due to it becoming dark at the time.
Exhibit 185.
Just a zoomed in version of that same photo.
Exhibit 186.
Another zoomed in photo of that same photo.
These photos are getting darker as we go in sequence here. What time were you flagged down approximately?
The initial time of being flagged down was about approximately 6 p.m. I would say by the time that it was discovered and that we had the crime scene investigator who takes our photos arrived on scene, it was probably about an hour to 2 hours later.
And what is this a photo of, exhibit 186?
That's just going to be the flashlight on the bone that was discovered, as well as you can see a yellow bag on the top right. That is going to be our evidence markers.
Exhibit 187.
Just a closer up photo of that same image.
Okay, and there's an evidence marker number 1 there.
Correct.
Showing you exhibit 188. What is that?
That is going to be a zoomed in photo of crime scene marker number 1 that we used, as well as a scale for reference due to size.
And what about?
So that's going to be even a further zoomed in version of the bone that was discovered, showing the ligaments and the tissue that was observed on that bone.
You testified at the beginning that you and Detective Driscoll were out canvassing the area for surveillance video.
I believe that was our initial intention to be in the area, yes.
Did you accomplish anything as it relates to that?
Unfortunately, that night we did not recover any video. We were occupied by the bone recovery.
Were you able to search for any surveillance video or not?
There was numerous attempts on multiple days to get video in the area.
You personally?
On the later date, yes.
Okay, but your assignment this night kind of shifted when you were flagged down?
Correct.
Nothing further.
Cross?
How many cases involving body parts would you say that MPD is involved in per year?
I would not have an exact quote on that number.
Is it something that you go years without even having to see that situation?
I would say no.
Meaning what? That you, in your 4 years as a detective, you saw something like this every year, or what?
I wouldn't say every year, but there are cases where human remains are discovered in the city of Milwaukee.
Is it important to be thorough?
Yes.
And isn't it true that MPD can preserve a crime scene if they wish to?
Yes.
With tape, right?
Correct.
Or even just by, in the homicide unit, just by stationing officers there, right?
Correct.
And for this park at 31st and Galena, was that ever done?
I think in 2 separate occasions, yes.
On a couple of two different occasions?
Yes.
Meaning that, what were those occasions?
The day that we were flagged down, there was a pretty large crime scene set up to conduct a secondary search, and I believe a day prior it was done as well.
And it appears that as the days are going by, different things are being located. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Meaning that it wasn't thorough the first time?
The area is littered with extensive amounts of illegal dumping, trash bags that are mounds high, tire piles. It is a very common area for illegal dumping. So it is very hard in that area to do search everything.
So you wouldn't say that it was sloppy, you would just say it was difficult?
It was very difficult.
But you would agree that something like this ought to be given the highest degree of attention and care, right?
Yes.
In that once a crime scene is folded up, so to speak, or ended, then the public can have access to it, right?
Correct.
And that happened here in this case a few times, right?
Correct. Upon my arrival on the 7th, there was no crime scene established. It was reestablished once new evidence was located.
Thank you, that's all.
State?
Nothing further.
Thank you, Detective. State your next witness.
Detective Michael Brownrider.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
If you could please be seated, state and spell your name for the record.
First name Michael, Michael. Last name Brownrider, B as in boy, Raunreiter.
Are you a detective with the Milwaukee Police Department?
Yes, I am.
What unit are you assigned to?
The homicide division.
How long have you been a detective?
Since 2021.
Were you working as a detective with the homicide division back in early April of 2024?
Yes, I was.
Did you participate in the investigation into the disappearance of Sade Robinson?
Yes, I did.
Was one of the roles you played in this investigation to canvass the area near where Sade's car had been set on fire near 30th and Lisbon?
Yes, it was.
That video canvas entailed a large portion of parts of the north side of Milwaukee, correct?
Yes, it did.
I'm going to show you Exhibit 225. This is a map of a part of the city and county of Milwaukee.
Yes, it is.
Move 225 and ask to publish.
Any objection?
No.
Received, go ahead.
.225 here, Detective.
we're looking at a map that on the southern end of the map here, where my pen is, that would be West Clybourne Street, and in the corner here is part of Interstate 94, correct?
Yes,
All right. And there's a freeway exit there.
correct.
Where does that exit get off?
Gets off at like 26 in St. Paul.
All right. If you were getting off, coming from the east, you'd be getting off right there on 25th and Clybourne, is that right?
Yes,
Where my pen is pointed?
yes.
All right. Now, I'm going to direct your attention, well, can you point out for us sort of the general area where you were canvassing for video?
Yes. Do you mind if I stand?
Go ahead.
So the general area was 30th and Lisbon. So this is the intersection of 30th and Lisbon. The
Can you
skeletal.
pull the microphone by you?
The other one.
The other one.
The remains had been found in a park near 30th and Walnut, like 31st and Walnut. And the fire had been on the corner of 30th and Lisbon, just to the north and a little bit to the east in the alleyway. So my main focus was just in this general area, spanning from North Avenue south to Cherry, 27th to 35th.
That was your main focus originally, right?
Yes,
And eventually you searched other parts of this map video that we'll get to later, correct?
yes, I did.
Okay. The playground where the body parts were found, it's not marked by green on this map, but it's right here, is that correct?
Yes, you can see the railroad tracks coming from the left side of the screen here, kind of in a it's half circle where they turn north and then they point due north or travel due north through Lisbon Avenue.
Were you able to find videos in the area of where Miss Robinson's car was burned that depicted her Honda Civic?
Yes, I was.
Driving.
Yes.
I'm going to show you on the screen now what I have marked as Exhibit 194. I'm going to go back to the map in a moment. I just want you to take a look at this quick. It's not on the screen there. Okay. You recognize this camera footage?
Yes, I do.
Is this camera footage from the address of 2001 North 30th Street?
Yes, it is.
And you recovered this footage yourself?
Yes, I did.
I moved 194 into evidence.
Any objection?
None.
It's received.
When we're looking at 225, we see, can you point out to on 225 where this video footage is in relation to where her car was burned?
Yes, so 2001 North 30th Street is the corner of 30th and Brown. Particularly, that's the, it would be the northwest corner of the intersection of 30th and Brown. So we go up to 30th here. This is going to be West Brown. The camera, the store is at the intersection, like I said, the northwest corner. Specifically, that camera view is facing south towards Lisbon Avenue.
The one we just had on the screen?
Yes.
And then are we about to discuss another camera view from a different location?
Yes, we are.
Where is that in relation to this?
It's a liquor store. The address is 3013 West North Avenue. So that is the southwest corner of 30th and North Avenue. So you have that camera here, then you have the 30th and Brown camera. My left hand is pointing here, and then Lisbon Avenue is just down here where the fire was located, just north of Lisbon Avenue.
Thank you. You can have a seat, and we're going to go back to the video now. The date and time stamp that's on this camera are up in the left-hand corner, correct?
Yes.
And were you able to determine whether or not that was accurate?
It was accurate.
I'm going to advance. The first clip I have up on the screen, Your Honor, it begins with the letter A and then 08, and then ends in the number 0618.mp4. And it's a 1 hour and 15-minute video. I'm going to advance it to 44 minutes and 21 seconds. You watched this video
Yes, I did.
extensively?
Yes.
All right.
The closest I could get was 4416, so we're just going to do that. The date and time stamp at this part of the video, it's 4417. What is the date and time stamp?
April 2nd, 2024 at 6:50 and 36 seconds in the morning.
And are you aware that shortly after 6:50 a.m., Ms. Robinson's vehicle was picked up on camera on North 30th Street near Walnut and Lisbon?
Yes, it actually, if you follow the headlights, you can see it turns onto 30th Street from Lisbon Avenue. It continues northbound through the intersection here at West Brown, North 30th, and continues north.
It turns northbound from 30th and Walnut, correct?
Yes, sorry. If you zoom all the way in, you can actually follow the headlights. It comes from Walnut, comes through Lisbon Avenue, and continues northbound.
All right. I'm playing this from the 44-minute, 17-second mark to about 45:20. So we're going to see it coming from the south?
Yes, that's the top right corner.
Okay.
Where you can see headlights there. That's the intersection of West Lisbon Avenue and North 30th.
So this is just a continuation of where that vehicle is picked up at the liquor store down on 29th and Lisbon, correct?
Correct.
Okay. What do you notice about the vehicle?
You can see the damage to the passenger side. The fog light is burnt out or broken.
Are the wipers going?
Yes.
And it just passed the camera going north?
Yes.
Okay, paused it at 45:21. Going to advance it to 48:12. (48:14). Playing from that time, 6:54:34 a.m. There it is again.
Yes, and sorry, the camera went out, but from that view, you can see the damage to the front passenger rear view mirror is broken, as well as some damage to the front passenger side bumper.
All right. I can't zoom in on this player, but are you able to see right? You're saying that this front passenger mirror appears to be dangling?
Yes.
Okay. And I have it paused at 48 minutes, 19 seconds, 6:54:38 a.m. What about the windows?
They're all fogged up.
Is that kind of something you noticed in other videos you watched as well?
Yes, it is.
Playing from that timestamp. Paused again because the TVs went out. Picking up there at 48:23, and it's off camera, correct?
Correct. It turned westbound on Brown.
Were you able to find a video down Brown Street that picked it up, or not, or was there not one?
No, I was unable to find any video west on Brown.
Going to advance this video to 52:06. I'm going to play from 52:03. It says 6:58:22 a.m. if we get it back.
Correct.
Okay. All right, playing again at 6:58:28. Now what's the vehicle doing?
It came from the west on Brown Street. It's going to turn northbound on North 30th Street, where it's captured on video at 3013 West North Avenue.
The video we'll watch next, correct?
Correct.
All right. Last part of this clip, I'm going to advance it to 5403. Now we're at basically 7 a.m. on the dot.
Yes.
7 a.m. and 22 seconds, playing from there.
Again, that's the vehicle. You can see the passenger side mirror, the damage to it.
Dangling down?
Yes.
All right. And what does the vehicle do?
It continues southbound towards Lisbon Avenue, and you can, if you zoom in, you can see that it actually turns westbound on Lisbon Avenue.
Paused it again. All right. So it's way up here in the corner going towards Lisbon, correct?
Correct.
All right. And before Lisbon Avenue, which is difficult, almost impossible to see, the car would be able to turn into the alley where it was eventually set on fire, correct?
Correct.
All right. I'm going to bring up the next clip. It starts with A08 and ends in 2150. Sorry. Got to get the right player up. All right. So we're at I'm going to go to 1 minute, 20 seconds. All right. Very, very faintly up in the corner, are you going to be able to see that car turn off of Lisbon and go into that alley?
Yes.
All right, but it's really faint, right?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to play from 120 to 149. All right. There it is, and it's making the turn now, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you've reviewed that video footage from the liquor store before?
Yes, I have.
This is the time that you see behind the liquor store, the car in the L-shaped alley?
Yes.
All right. And then lastly, I'm just going to go ahead. I'll cue it up so when the TV comes back, it can be ready. 13 minutes, 52 seconds, roughly. 7:35 a.m. You can start to see faintly in the upper right corner the siren, or the fire trucks coming northbound on 30th.
Correct.
Okay. Paused at 14:08. So well, never mind. I'm going to move on to the next video before I do that. The next is going to be Exhibit 195. What are we looking at, Detective?
This is the video from 3013 West North Avenue.
Move 195 in.
No objection.
It's received.
All right, I'm gonna go up to well, was the date and time accurate on this one?
Yes, it was.
Very hard to see, but I'll bring it up in a minute. Make it bigger. Okay, so what date and time do we have?
April 2nd, 2024 at 6:52 and 42 seconds a.m.
And this is 30th Street right here, correct?
Yes,
And then this would be North Avenue going east if you were going that way.
correct.
And this just picks up where kind of that last camera left off?
Yes.
What are we gonna watch the Honda Civic do here?
So after the Honda Civic goes out of view traveling northbound on North 30th Street, it reaches this, I guess, the entranceway to the parking lot of the liquor store. It's going to turn into the parking lot and kind of back out and then go back southbound on 30th Street.
Playing at 6:52:43. So it gets to North Avenue, then it decides to turn back south.
Correct.
And that's where we pick it up again on that other video?
Yes, at 2001 North 30th.
Okay. Let me advance this to 6:59:07, or as close as I can get. And this is that second pass as it's going up 30th Street between Brown and North?
Yes.
Makes another turn. It's off camera by what time?
6:59 and 29 seconds.
Thank you. So, Detective, in sum, from those two videos, you see the Honda coming northbound on 30th, and it essentially gets to North Avenue on two different occasions and decides to double back, seemingly circling the area near 30th between North Avenue and Lisbon Avenue.
Correct.
Nothing else.
Cross?
Did you ever see in any of these video who's driving that car?
No, you cannot.
And you've attempted to zoom in and examine that closely?
Yes, I did.
Okay, that's all.
Nothing else.
Anything, State?
No.
Thank you, Detective.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will recall this witness at a later time. The next witness is Detective Thaddeus Schimmels.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
If you could please be seated, state and spell your name for the record.
My name is Thaddeus Schimmels, Thaddeus. Schimmels is spelled Schimmels.
You a detective with the City of Milwaukee Police Department,
Yes, I am.
assigned to the homicide unit?
That's correct.
Were you working in that capacity in April of 2024?
Yes, I was.
Did you assist in the investigation into the missing person report related to Sade Robinson?
Yes, I did.
Was one of the roles of one of your roles in that investigation to canvass areas of the north side of Milwaukee for surveillance video footage?
That's correct.
Did you end up recovering multiple videos that depicted Miss Robinson's car driving in and around the area where it was ultimately burned at 7:30 a.m. on April 2nd?
That's correct.
All right.
Exhibit 225 up on the screen. Tell us the areas that you search for videos in.
The State Milwaukee Police Department was looking at video in the area from North 27th Street to North 35th Street, from the area of West Valete Street to the area of West North Avenue. I ultimately obtained some video from the area of the 32 and 3300 block of West Valete in that area.
Did you also obtain video from a location on North 26th Street?
Correct.
What was that location?
The address was 833 North 26th Street. It was the child care center there.
Okay. That video depicted
The cameras, I'm sorry. The cameras on the building were facing North 27th Street and captured Ms. Robinson's vehicle traveling northbound on 27th Street at approximately 4:50 a.m.
All right, to orient us, we're kind of looking at the southern part of this map, right?
Correct.
So this is a little glimpse of I-94 here, the exit on 25th and Clybourne. Wisconsin Avenue is here, correct?
Correct.
Where is this children's center or daycare? It would be 26th Street here, and then just around Wells. 26th and Wells. Okay, so it captures 27th Street even though the daycare is on 26th.
That's correct. The entrance is on 26th Street, but there's cameras on 27th Street.
I'm going to pull up exhibit.
196.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. 196 on the screen here. Just take a moment, hopefully. What are we looking at?
This is a camera mounted to the west side of the building. It is facing westbound. The street in front of the street that's in the camera view would be North 27th Street.
Okay. It's on the west side. It's facing west? Okay.
Correct.
All right. So where's the freeway? Off to the left side or to the right side?
It would be to the left.
And what are we going to see?
What we're going to see is Ms. Robinson's dark blue Honda Civic traveling northbound, which would be from left to right through the camera view.
The date and time stamp, it says April 2, 2024, 4:50 a.m. Was this determined to be accurate?
Yes.
I'm going to play clip, the first of two clips. Is that it?
Yes, it is.
All right. Are you able to tell anything about the windows?
Yes, the windows are steamed or fogged up. They're all of them are cloudy. I can also tell that the passenger side rearview mirror is not mounted fully. It's hanging on the side.
Was that something that you were specifically looking for in videos? I mean, was that something you had known prior to your video canvas?
It was developed during the video canvas, but yes, we became aware that there's those distinctions noticed about the vehicle.
Playing it again. And I'm pausing that video clip at 35 seconds. Timestamp is 4:50:36 a.m. and I'm going to play the second clip.
So this clip just picks up where the last one left off?
Correct.
All right, it's 12 seconds long. And that's the vehicle going through?
That's correct.
All right. Are you able to see on this video too whether or not the windows appear to be foggy?
Yes, they are.
One more time. Did you recover video from 3220 West Fleet Street?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to pull up here Exhibit 199. Judge, if I called the 833 North 26th Street Exhibit 196, I was wrong. It's marked as Exhibit 202. The sticker says 202. That was my mistake.
It might have been mine as well. Okay, so the last video was 202.
Yes.
Got it. And this one's 199?
This one is 199.
Okay.
What is 3220 West Fleet Street?
The location is a Community Care Incorporated.
And its video cameras face where?
They have a number of video cameras at this location. We obtained multiple exterior cameras that were both along the south side of the location, which is West Fleet Street. And there were some other cameras that were obtained that were captured West Cherry Street to the north of the property.
What camera angles were of note or of relevance to this?
The two camera angles that were on the south side location along West Fleet Street.
I'm going to pull up 199. It's going to be camera number 2, the clip ending in the numbers 44000. All right, orient us if you can. Do you want the map? Well, why don't you describe it first, then we'll go to the map.
Again, the building itself is a larger building. This would be located, the camera's on the south side of the building. It's both marked and it's facing in a southwestern direction. The camera itself is specifically titled Volite Southwest. What you see is the sidewalk in front of the building in West Volite Street facing in a western direction. The set of green lights right there would be 33rd Street, and then in the distance you can see red lights of 35th Street.
So this camera is facing southwest, and then there's going to be another camera watching that's facing southeast, right?
Yes.
All right. And the date and timestamp on this one?
It was 1 minute slow to the actual time.
I'd move 199 in.
Any objection?
No.
199 is received.
Now, we had just watched the vehicle coming up 27th Street in this direction, correct?
Correct.
All right, and Volite Street is right here, correct?
Correct.
So what we're about to see is the car passing by Volite Street minutes after we just saw it on video going north on 27th away from Interstate 94?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to advance this to 16 minutes and 49 seconds. The time up on the top here says 4:56:49, but that's probably more 4:57:49, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Playing from there. And there's the car?
Correct.
So it went through 33rd Street then,
Yes,
up to 35th?
correct.
Okay. Is that a red light?
That is correct.
What's it gonna do?
Once the red light changes in the distance on North 35th Street, it's going to make a left turn to travel southbound on North 35th Street.
All right, there it goes, correct?
Correct.
Paused it at 1821. And Detective, just in your experience from driving these areas, is that the approximate time it would take to get from that children's center camera to here?
Yes.
Okay. Going to advance the video to 3320. Playing from there. This would be roughly 5:14:20 a.m.
That's correct.
And what are we going to see off in the distance there?
The vehicle, I believe it goes, is going to travel,
Turn south there?
yes, it was traveling eastbound on West Fleet Street and then it turned south on North 33rd Street.
There's another camera we're going to watch that's going to show that same turn from that intersection, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Going up to 35:15. 5:16:12 a.m.
Correct.
There it is again, right?
That is correct.
Do you know where it came from that time, based on your knowledge of the other facing camera?
Yes, it was actually traveling northbound on North 32nd Street, had turned left to travel westbound on West Fleet Street, and is going to again turn onto southbound on North 35th Street.
So this is its second southbound turn from Valete onto North 35th Street in like the past 15 to 20 minutes.
Correct.
The exact same route it just did.
Correct.
And there it goes. I'm going to go up to 3830. All right, now the TV's back. We're up to 5:19:28 a.m., Detective?
Actual time, yes, timestamp
Okay,
of
actual time.
5:18.
Okay. Play a brief clip from here. Paused it. Picking it up. All right, there it is again.
Correct.
This time it's going to turn where?
It's going to turn southbound again on 33rd Street.
So the last two times it did this westbound path down Valete, turning on 35th. This time it's turning on 33rd.
Correct.
Paused it at 39:04. This would be roughly 5:20 a.m., correct?
Correct.
I'm going to switch over to channel 4, or camera 4, clip ending in 4400. All right. Let me advance it to 1632. All right, it's at 1638. Up in the left here, we've got April 2nd. This is going back to that first clip we watched where it's coming westbound on Vliet, but we're just looking at the different angle, right?
That is correct.
And those set of lights down there would be what lights?
That will be Ms. Robinson's vehicle traveling westbound on West Fleet from North 27th Street.
Sorry, I meant the traffic lights. What
I'm
street
sorry.
would that be over there?
Lights in the distance would be North 27th Street.
So if the car had been going north on 27th Street, like we saw in the Children's Center video, all it had to do is get up to Vliet and then make a left-hand turn.
Correct.
Is that what we're seeing here?
Yes, sir.
And then it just comes past on passing 32nd and Vliet.
I'm just going to object to leading questions at this point.
I'll rephrase them.
Go ahead.
I played it from about 1645. Is that the car?
Yes.
Are you able to tell anything about the windows as you watched this?
Yes, the windows appear fogged or steamed up. Again, the rear view mirror on the passenger side is hanging, and the front lower fog lamp is looks not like the other one.
Okay. Next clip is camera 4, ending in 5737. All right, same camera angle, just next clip, and I'm going to advance it to 20 minutes, 49 seconds. Minutes 52. Now you can barely see North 32nd Street there, correct?
That's correct. It's a T intersection there.
What are we going to see the car doing here?
So you're going to first see the street light up as though there's a vehicle there, the headlights of a vehicle that's stopped there. It's going to be stopped there for what appears to be an extended amount of time, just for the fact that there doesn't appear to be any other cross traffic. And then the vehicle come into the camera view just momentarily as it turns left to go westbound on West Fleet again.
So it stops right here a little off camera is what you're saying?
Yes.
And you're able to tell that how? Even though you can't see the car, how can you tell?
Again, the street will illuminate with headlights from the vehicle itself.
Playing at 2052. You see the lights?
Yes.
And are you able to see the windshield?
Yes, the
What does it look
windshield
like?
is fogged and cloudy.
And in this frame, are you able to see the front passenger rear view mirror?
Yes,
What does it look like to you?
it is angled downwards as though it's not fully mounted or damaged.
And that turn was made at around 5:19 a.m.?
That is correct.
Are we going to see the car do the same turn?
Yes.
You're going to advance it to 20 minutes. I think I did the wrong clip first. I'm actually going to go to 17:14. So that was at 5:19. We're going to back up to 17 minutes, 15 seconds. This would be roughly 5:15 a.m.?
That's correct.
Okay. Playing from there. What's the car doing?
Again, it's stopped. There is the vehicle that's traveling westbound. And now there's no vehicles traveling east or west, but the vehicle is remaining there for some time before it makes its turn.
Can you see the windshield?
Yes,
What does it look like to you?
it's cloudy and fogged up.
And on where I have it paused here at 17 minutes, 41 seconds, can you see the front passenger rear view mirror?
Yes, it's angled downwards. It appears to be hanging.
Paused it at 17 minutes, 45 seconds. If I didn't move 199 in, I would do that.
You did 199, you didn't do 202.
Then I would move 202 in.
Any objection?
No.
It's received.
I would, I could go on to the next one, but if you wanted to break here, I'd leave it up to the court. We can keep going.
Maybe one more.
Okay, I
Then we'll break.
have actually a quick one. I'll do that. All right, did you get a ring video from an address on McKinley?
Yes,
What was the address?
the address was 3332 West McKinley.
I'm going to show you what is marked as Exhibit 200. This is a brief clip, right, Detective?
Correct.
Okay. While I pull that up, zoom in here. All right, so we just watched the video of the car going westbound on Bleed here, right?
Correct.
And then we watched it make some southbound turns on the 35th here, correct?
Correct.
And then we also watched it make one southbound turn on 33rd Street here, right?
Correct.
After it made one of those southbound turns on the 35th Street, is that shortly after it goes off camera there? Did you catch it on camera at this McKinley address?
Yes.
Where is that address?
The address?
The address would be located right here. It would be 34th Street. And these, the east and west would be McKinley Avenue.
Is that a residential area?
Yes, it is.
Were there any cameras down McKinley that were able to help you?
No other ones that we were able to locate.
All right, so, the street, McKinley here, this would then be 34th, right?
Correct.
34th runs into the train tracks, right?
Correct.
Dead end?
Yes, there is a way to get through by an alleyway that would be in between McKinley and Valit, but yes, essentially a dead end.
Okay, so we're about to watch video footage from here facing 34th?
Correct.
All right. Is this the video? Oh, sorry, I gotta hit the button.
Yes, that is the video.
Let me get the volume on here. All right, I would move 200 in.
Any objection?
No.
Received.
Off to the left side of the screen would be McKinley.
Correct.
All right, and then to the right side is sort of where that train tracks meet 34th Street.
Correct.
Is this the car right here off to the left?
Yes.
And what time and date is this?
It is April 2nd, 2024 at 4:59 and 29 seconds.
Would
AM.
this have corresponded with the timestamps from the other video when the car is seen turning off onto 35th Street?
Yes, it would.
Playing the 50-second clip. What'd you observe the car do?
The vehicle had traveled northbound on North 34th Street from McKinley, went to the dead end, conducted a turn to turn itself around, and then slowly traveled back southbound on North 34th Street back to McKinley.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
After it made its turn to turn itself around, it traveled southbound back to slowly traveled southbound on North 34th Street back to West McKinley Avenue.
At some point in this video, does it appear to you that a motion-activated light turns on?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna play it one more time. Right there?
Correct.
And as the car passed, were you able to see whether or not the windows appear fogged?
They do.
Okay, I think this is a perfect time to break. Again, the same admonitions, right? Don't do any investigation, don't do any research, don't do any blogging, texting, posting about our job here. Don't talk about it with each other. Wear your juror badges prominently. Go have a lovely lunch. Put this completely out of your mind, and we'll kick back up. Today, we can start back up at 1:30. So we'll open up the jury room about 1:15, 1:10-ish. Yeah. And then I need all of you back in order to go on the record right at 1:30. Okay? Thank you, everybody. Leave your notebooks on your chairs, please.
took to get here, as well as the generations who came before, for those who were never able to see these results realized, for those who never felt safe enough to live their truth, for those who are no longer with us today but should be, and many, many more. We honor and celebrate them too, because these days it's important to celebrate every truth, every person, every victory, big, small, and present. We celebrate pride because we also know what's at stake. We know that there are those who want to revisit these victories. They want to revise this important history.